it's helped out a lot with COVID. And
I have to say, he either is like wonderful during these appointments and makes me look crazy, or he's worse than usual.
Don't worry about it. I see you had an e-collar already?
Yeah, he was trained in dog trot e-collar by his trainer out in Vermont. I have to say I'm probably not the best at using it consistently. I really use it as a fail-safe when I'm out in public with him.
Sure.
Because I know he's always at anywhere between, Taco, sit down, but he's between 6 and like 9 usually, so it's like he's pretty sensitive to it. But the vibrate function is what saves me when he's like being very bad.
Okay, so he's been trained previously with e-collar.
Yeah.
So he's got a nice little Julius canine harness.
They thought he herniated his disc. This is last week of him using it. I usually use I train him with a prong collar. It's a long story. So he's a rescue.
Yeah, just fill me in.
Yeah, he's a rescue. I truthfully was drunk when I was a resident in medical school.
Okay.
And I saw one of those like Sarah
like
McLachlan commercials.
Sure.
And he was gonna be put down. He was 6 months old. And they said he was too aggressive, and he was in some shelter in South Carolina.
Okay.
So I got him. And my friend, who's a nurse practitioner up there, had 2 pit bulls that had been rescued from dog fighting rings, and she was like, no dog at 6 months should be put down for this stuff. And so I got him, and he was impossible. He was human aggressive, he was dog aggressive, he would snarl at people. I was scared of him in the beginning, even a little bit. But we built our trust together. He had a series of like one-offs with certain dog trainers, like small consultations. 2 of them said he needed to be like put down. They were like, he's unsalvageable, which I thought was crazy. He had never actually bitten anyone. He had never bitten a dog, so I thought that was ridiculous. And then we met Rhonda, who was an e-trainer, and she was like, you know, he's a dog living in a human world. He just needs to learn the rules. And so we got him obedient. So he was trained with the prong collar initially. He actually doesn't really pull. He's very excited by all the smells here, but he usually like walks right next to me, so I don't need to use his prong collar anymore. He was jumping a lot. They think that's how he hurt his back. But in Vermont, I got him to actually be relatively social. He never did great with daycare. It was like too much constant stimulation. But I was a resident, so I had a bunch of friends that had dogs, and he had this dog pack, and they would run around together pretty often. He's always been tremendously protective of me, probably to a fault. But then I graduated and I moved here to do 1 more year of fellowship. And I anticipated a bit of a backslide. In Vermont, the thing that had helped me train him was that he was started on Prozac. And so they said that would help me to train him. I don't know if it was placebo or not, or it was just the consistency. But then when we got here, there was a huge backslide. Like I can't even explain it. Like I can't have him around like new people almost. He can meet people and he loves my friends that he knows, but every time he meets someone new, it's like if everything goes okay, I feel like I got away with something. You know what I mean? Like it's bad. He actually hadn't had a bite history up until literally 2 days ago, where I was introducing him to a new dog walker. And he actually made contact with her skin, and he had like a small puncture mark. It's not deep, and he like pulled away, but like that scared me, you know? Hey, sit down, bud. Good boy. He doesn't like other dogs, and I'm okay with that almost. I wish he had dog friends. I feel like it'd be better for him. But at this point, I just realistically want to be able to have him have a dog walker in the middle of the day. We just moved again, so we were living downtown. We just moved to Clarendon Hills, but I still have access to the apartment there, so I'm happy to be wherever he needs to be. But now when, for example, I was trying to get him set up with a dog walker out in the suburbs, and like, I can't, I've introduced him the way that I've introduced him before in the past, like walking with them together. Like I never let someone just come in, and he won't do it. Like he won't meet anyone new. Like I don't even trust this dog around my family, which is hard, you know? So I'm hoping you guys can help me.
Okay. Anything else?
No, it's pretty much it. The reactivity to dogs, people, and every new experience is pretty bad with him.
Okay. So when you say backslide, like is he still in the Prozac?
He's still in the Prozac.
Okay.
I didn't change that. The reason I've met a couple trainers in Chicago, And I haven't gone with any of them because one of them told me, like, I can fix this in a week. I just need to put him up with a bunch of dogs. He's gonna be socialized. He's gonna be the kind of dog you trust all the time. And I don't believe that at all. Anyone telling me this is easy is like not listening. But his vet wanted to start him on Prozac. She said, on Trazodone. And I was like, this isn't working, you know? So you guys are kind of one of my last ditch efforts, you know?
Okay. Well, this is easy.
Please don't.
Okay. So you're in the medical field?
Yeah, I'm a surgeon.
Okay, cool. So he's been on Prozac, and he's been on Prozac for how long?
About a year and a half.
Okay, so then your new veterinarian also puts the dog on trazodone, right? And then you mentioned like it's not working.
Oh, I didn't even start the trazodone. I said no.
Correct.
Yeah.
But are you recognizing that that it's not helping?
The Prozac?
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think it's helping at
So
all.
why are you still on Prozac?
Honestly, they told me to wait it out for a while, and then they said that we can go up on the dose, and I was like, I just figured it'd be safer to keep him on it because initially it had helped before. I thought it helped, maybe it was the more training, more exercise, something like that. But I just kind of kept it on. I can wean him off of it because I don't think it'll make a difference, but Tex, come on,
So
sit down, bud.
the reason why I asked that is
Yeah.
because I get this all the time.
Yeah, sit.
Dogs that are biting people or whatever, and
Yeah.
they put on fluoxetine, trazodone, Prozac,
Yeah,
and then they'll be on it, and then like they're still biting people, and
Yeah.
like of course the owner's trying to find a trainer,
Yeah.
they find me, and I go, okay, your dog bit someone, yes.
Yeah.
They're on Prozac, yes, and your dog bit someone again, yes.
Yeah.
So why are they still on Prozac,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's like they feel like if they take the dog off, like to me, I'm like there was no progress.
yeah,
But to the owner, they're like, I don't want it to get worse.
yeah,
You know, that it's that fear.
yeah,
In my opinion, the reason why he got better is because he started training, not
Yeah.
because of Prozac. That's why when I do stuff like this, like
Yeah.
if I have a client that tells me my veterinarian just suggested Prozac,
yeah.
should I start them with the training? I tell them no.
Yeah,
I was like, because I'm not against drugs,
yeah,
okay? But I'll tell them, if you do both, you don't know what worked.
yeah. Casey,
Right.
definitely. I have no idea what worked.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that's one thing. The other thing, I've never seen drugs work for aggression,
Yeah,
period,
yeah,
okay? I've only ever had drugs work for one particular case,
yeah,
and it was because the dog had car anxiety so bad that they would vomit,
yeah,
and it just sedated the dog to sleep for a 4-hour drive to Michigan.
yeah,
And because the owner is asking, like, is there anything that you can do to train this dog to like not vomit? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
No.
I'm like, if it's motion sickness,
Yeah.
no, because
Yeah.
it's motion sickness.
Yeah.
I was like, if it's anxiety that's overstressed,
yeah,
and the dog has to have an outlet, then I go possibly, because then we can, if we can get the dog to settle and not be so stressed and anxious, then there's nothing to induce the vomiting,
yeah,
which in their case was motion sickness.
yeah.
So then I told them, if that
Medication,
worked,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Do
the
it.
answer, right?
Yeah,
So I'm very logical, I like to think.
totally,
But yeah, so it's like, if someone is aggressive,
yeah,
and then the drugs don't help the aggression.
Yeah.
It's like teaching that person how to handle their anger,
yeah,
anger management.
of course,
Or something, like
Yeah.
something else, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe in conjunction.
yeah,
Again, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
I've never seen drugs
It helped.
help, okay?
yeah,
And I had a client, their dog would get very aggressive at the veterinarian,
yeah.
and they gave him a dose to sedate a rhino,
Oh my gosh,
still was going after everybody.
I believe that.
And I go, because the adrenaline, the fight or flight mode, the mental or emotional stress state was overriding the drugs, much like with people.
Yeah,
I like watching cop videos,
Yeah.
and like they'll tase someone with 5 tasers,
And
and
then
they're
they're
just
still-
like
yeah.
just going.
yeah, yeah,
Same stuff.
yeah.
Okay. So here, I like that you have an e-call already,
Yeah.
so that's all good. I believe you in terms of what you're saying, because
Yeah.
you're like, he has these issues, they're there,
Yeah,
and that's actually why this is difficult,
yeah,
or why it would be difficult. So when I come into a case and the dog is like blatantly aggressive,
yeah,
I told the owner this is easy because it's right there.
yeah, it's in your face.
Yes, when
Yeah.
it's not, and then you have to fish for it, that's what makes it difficult. Okay.
He's unpredictable, that's the thing.
Well, it's not that it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Now I have to delve in deeper and go like, where are we seeing these
Yeah.
issues? Okay. So you said you had a dog walker come over.
Yeah,
Okay.
a new one.
A new one.
Yeah.
And you met outside.
Yeah, we met outside, so I always do this the same way.
Okay.
So I always the first 2 walks, I'm always there with them. We meet them outside. And then as we're walking, the first thing I tell them is that he seems to be really sensitive to eye contact. So I'm like, just kind of ignore him. Just be there, don't run up to him, don't get in his face. That, like, he hates that. That always 100%, like any confrontation, especially if someone's down on the ground at his level, always goes poorly for first meets. Later on, it doesn't matter once he knows you. But, and then we go on a walk, and then they'll throw him like a piece of chicken or something, or some treat, some high value treat. Cheese, chicken, I don't care, like something like that. And then I have them go. It's like there's no, they don't touch, they don't do anything, it just goes like that. And then the second time around, they come to the door, they still don't come inside. Tackle off, bud. Don't do anything, stop. So then the second time they'll come to the door, we'll walk again together. And then by that point, usually, and I sound crazy, I don't know anything about dogs, this is my only dog I've ever had. But then he seems to recognize them, and he seems very excited to see them there. And usually he'll like, it's a terrible habit, and I shouldn't be telling a dog to do this, but usually when he's excited to see someone, he'll like kind of jump on them, and then like lick their arm or something like that, and then they'll like, we'll all walk together. And then at the end of that, I have them take his collar off, his leash off. And then in the past, they were ready. So then the third time I would be around, but I would let the person come into the house, he would smell, and then they would be walking him. So it would take three times, 2 walks together, 3 times total that I'd be there. And then that used to work 100% of the time. And now, he has a dog walker downtown who he had met early on, like in the beginning of the year. When I say a year, I mean like a year ago. And he loves her, but that's it. He can't, like, I haven't been able to introduce him to any other people except for my little brother, who is like St. Francis of Assisi, who gets along with every animal. I don't know why. My dog just loves my little brother. But that's it. He hasn't been able to meet other people.
Most of the dog walkers from Vermont?
The dog walkers...
that you've had before, like...
They were all in Vermont, yeah.
Okay. And then you moved here recently?
Yeah, I moved here a year ago.
Okay.
A little over.
And then after that move, you got 1 dog walker?
So it was through Out You Go, the company downtown.
Okay.
And I did that with 3 dog walkers because I figured they would be on a cycle. And the other 2 dog walkers, he never really liked them that much, but they followed the directions so well that it never was a problem. He had met them before. He was never that excited to see them, but as long as they kind of, if they played hard to get and ignored him, he would let them take him out. So he had 2 other dog walkers, but he never like warmed up to them. It was almost like a transaction
Sure.
with them.
Yeah.
It was like fine, like I need you. But those days I would put him in his crate when they would come to the apartment. They would text me ahead of time, so I knew before I left to leave him in his crate. So then when they bailed him out, he was just happy to be out of the crate and then walk around.
Yeah.
I'm probably making all this stuff up in terms of, but it seemed to work.
No. I'm assessing what you're saying and finding why that stuff works.
Yeah.
So this is all fine.
Yeah.
So then, you meet this new dog walker.
Yeah.
Right? So after the first 3.
Yeah, 3.
You go to the suburbs.
Yes.
And you repeat the same process.
Yeah.
And then go over when the bite happened.
So there was a third time, and we were outside, she was giving him chicken.
Okay.
This is all more complicated because that's when his back started to really flare up. Like he was like in pain, he had been playing around all day, and he loves to jump and chase squirrels, so I think he must have jumped and twisted in a funny way. But he was acting a little bit funny, and I was on edge too, which I'm sure didn't really help. And she was giving him chicken, and she went to go take his collar off, or even to adjust it. I don't remember. She reached for his neck, and then he yelped. She didn't hurt him, but he yelped, I think, when he twisted his neck because he wanted to see where her hand was going, and then he bit.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that there's not like a trigger. Like obviously there were abnormal circumstances, but he for the actual bite, but the air snapping and like that he's done to other people just walking around, like I don't know that he hasn't bitten someone because of me, because I'm so vigilant around people.
Oh, yeah, because he hasn't had the capacity.
He hasn't had the opportunity. I don't let him.
Okay.
But I took him to the vet. I freaked out. I was like, fix his back. Like, I don't know what's happening. And his back's fine now. So.
Okay. All right. I mean, for me, it really makes sense
Yeah,
that because a random yelp, it was seemingly a random yelp, but you know about the flare up and everything.
yeah,
And for dogs, I mean, this is it's not. I mean, at least for me, like I had a dog a few years ago that I worked with. His name was Buddy, and a very special case, aggression case. But I remember he had torn the Achilles or the ASL or something, right? And he had to have surgery, and then they had to do like all these things with them on a daily basis, and he would get very aggressive,
really?
And I remember them emailing me, and I'm like, well, that's nothing about training. That's really just, one, he already had that. That was his go-to. Like, I use aggression for things that I don't like.
Yeah.
And then we're doing something that is not natural to dogs. Like, they're not meant to be going, like, doing stretches and stuff. And I go, it makes sense to me. And then instead I showed them a better way of positioning them that helped alleviate a lot of aggression.
Yeah.
So the way I evaluate dog bites and I go over these things is, to give an example, I had a dog that I worked with that was seemingly aggressive. It wasn't aggressive, it was just reactive.
Yeah.
Human aggressive. And then what happened was they were out of town. They were at an Airbnb with a few friends. They were all gone. Their dog was alone in the Airbnb, unkennelled. It was 4th of July.
Yeah.
And a friend came over to drop off like toothpaste or something. And they did the passcode, walked in, and put the toothpaste on the table. The dog was on the table.
Yeah.
The dog bit him on the thigh, bit him in the hand. And then they immediately contacted me. They just had a baby.
Yeah.
They're freaking out. Oh my God, is our dog gonna bite our baby? And it was right after 4th of July, so I'm assuming 4th of July related.
Yeah.
And they go tell me what happened.
Yeah.
And of course they told me that, and I go, well, that's a valid bite.
Yeah.
One, unknown environment.
Yep.
2, 4th of July.
Yep.
Most dogs say 4th
Fireworks
of July.
and stuff, yeah.
Exactly. 3, he doesn't know it was their friend.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just going, somebody's in here and it's just me.
Yeah.
And I told him, if he had bitten a burglar,
They'd be happy about it.
Exactly. I was like, it just happened. Your dog does not differentiate, even if it is somebody that they've seen.
Yeah.
Because for them, imagine like you're in your home, and then at 2 o'clock in the morning, unannounced, like a friend is there.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the hell did you get in my house?
Yeah, exactly.
It's still suspicious, right? Same thing for the dog.
Yeah.
So it was a valid bite because it was territorial.
Yeah.
And all the other things playing into a part.
Yeah.
And they go, that's what we thought. We just were really paranoid because we thought maybe the baby. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm like, this is completely different context.
Yeah.
So I said, your dog is not aggressive. Your dog did his job.
Yeah.
It just sucks that it was your friend. Okay. So that's how I evaluate aggression.
Yeah.
I get dogs that do bite people.
Yeah.
And like, let's say it's fear aggression, and I go to touch them. I have like a suit and stuff.
Yeah.
And the dog will back away,
Yeah.
right? And then I step on the leash and I trap them, and then they bite me. And they go, okay, your dog's aggressive, but they're fear aggressive.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot for me to provoke the aggression.
Yeah.
Because I have to put the dog under stress.
Of course.
And of course, if a human is cornered,
They're gonna.
it's self-defense, okay?
Yeah.
So that's how I evaluate things, okay? So that particular, I know where he's coming from, because of where you had him.
Totally.
But I don't take that bite as a, what's the word, a characteristic bite.
Yeah.
I go, I think everything you said is correct.
Yeah.
I think you did everything that you always did, except you had the variable of inflamed back.
Yeah.
And
Also a new environment, to be fair.
I was gonna say, because you just moved a year ago and then moved again.
And I'm still back and forth between the two places, so I get that, yeah.
Exactly. So that part, it's hard because for you, because like you said, it's your first dog, and your first dog just happened to be,
Insane.
special needs. And I don't want to offend him.
He doesn't speak English, no.
I speak Spanish. Loco.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what your assumption is correct.
Yeah.
Is that it wasn't him doing it because he was being a jerk and like, hey, stay out of my space.
Yeah.
I think it was I have a discomfort, and when he turned his head, she was the closest thing, so that sounds like a redirected bite. Okay?
And to be fair, he is a space dog. Like he.
Sure, he is.
He very much
But
does. Yeah. That concept. Yeah.
Not the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Because everything's about context.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, if a dog bites, the owner after giving birth to a litter of puppies, like that's a maternal
Yeah.
bite, that's
Yeah.
an instinct, like your dog's not aggressive to you.
Yeah.
It's just she's saying, stay away from my puppies, I don't trust you that much.
Yeah.
Okay? So, context.
Totally.
Because I get people that call me and say, my dog's human aggressive, and I say, tell me what happened.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I went to move their bowl while they were eating.
Yeah,
And I go, that's not human aggression, that's
Yeah.
food aggression, exactly. So,
We worked through that one.
all that stuff for me sounds normal.
Yeah.
So that happened 2 days ago, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your goal here with Taco?
I want him to be able to meet new people.
Where?
And I want him to be able to have a dog walker in this new place, and
Okay.
I can't seem to be able to introduce him to any new people in like a safe, easy way.
How have you tried to introduce him in the past?
The same way that I told you, or
But
then
not dog walkers?
not dog
but
walkers,
just
other people. So I would do the same thing. I would meet everyone outside first, and it would be like a walk. But with my friends, it almost, and again, it sounds like I was playing it risky, but it felt different. Like he was a lot easier with my friends for some reason, maybe because I felt less anxious about the situation. We would walk around like once, maybe like around the block or something like that. They would give him a couple treats, and then we would be able to go into the apartment, and he would be fine.
Right.
Like it was so easy.
Mhm.
And now it's not. Nothing's easy. And like even people, like he's met my mom a bunch of times, and there's something about that interaction that feels wrong, like something bad's gonna happen, so I keep them apart for that reason. With my little brother, that's always been fine, and so I kind of let them play around. I trust my brother with my dog. He's known him now for a year. They've had no issues. I used to be like very on it for whenever they were together, but that's never been even close to being a problem. He'll do whatever my little brother tells him to do. But I don't let him around my stepdad. He air snapped at my aunt. He like right now he's getting anxious, about to bark at you if you look at him for some reason. I don't know. This is what happens.
Tap him on the collar. Just tap.
He try to go off.
No, okay. So what you're doing there, so I'm assuming when you come back into the home is when you notice some tension.
Now when I try to, he doesn't even relax when we're walking outside now with other people around.
Okay.
So I don't even bring them inside anymore when
Sure.
like it's my house. Or I take him over to my parents' house.
Mhm.
They have 2 pugs. I keep them completely separate. I only take him out there when it's nice weather, and he'll like roam the backyard. And he loves playing outside. He loves chasing squirrels, so I leave him be, and I'll be inside the house. Or alternatively, when it's not nice weather, I'll bring him inside, and he'll be like in a separate room in the house, and I'll go downstairs with him or something like that. But he's like, now I have to keep everything separate, which I'm sure is also making things worse.
Right.
Yeah, but there's no other way. I mean.
At the moment,
yeah.
with what you know, there's no other way. Yeah.
Off. No,
okay.
off. No,
So
off. Sorry.
when you taught or trained with Rhonda,
Yeah,
because she's the last training you had,
yeah.
okay? How does she teach you to teach him to heal?
That was through, like, we would be walking down the street, and every like 10 steps I would stop and he would have to sit. And I would stop and he would have to sit. And then if he pulled ahead, then I was supposed to, or he would never pull ahead, he'd mainly pull backwards. But if he wasn't healing, then I was supposed to drop the slack from the leash and like run forward and pull on it. It was like very strange.
But I'm sorry, repeat that part again?
Yeah, so I'd have the leash, Taco off, bud, no, stop. I'd be walking with him. If he pulled, I'd have to drop the slack from the leash, and then I'd walk in like a different direction or like tug essentially
Okay.
on it.
And what would you do during that time?
During that time,
When he went ahead and you let the slack go and you turned,
yeah, I would let it like,
would you do is that the prong or the e-collar?
that was with the prong
And
initially.
you run the other way? Okay,
till
I
the
see.
other- a little.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at, yeah. Okay. So, and how about with the e-collar, how'd you layer that in?
So it was after he was already healing, sitting, doing that stuff. We learned e-collar when it came to place, his lifted bed, and then for different commands. And so essentially what she taught me is that when you have something that you want him to do, like something as easy as like go to your place or go home or whatever, The minute I started saying the command, I would start rhythmically tapping on it until he
Okay.
did what he was supposed to do, and then I would stop.
Huh?
Then that was on the nick, and then on continuous, that was only for off. So if there was something that he was doing that was like, that I needed him to stop immediately. So for example, if he's growling at you or something like that. But to be honest with you, I didn't like that because I couldn't go on off and titrate this up fast enough. I had a broken finger at the time, so I started using the vibrate function, which is probably not what I'm supposed to do, but that would get him out of whatever it was that he was doing, because he hates the vibrate function far more than anything else on this remote. And that was pretty much it. And then I moved, so.
So unfortunately with e-collar,
Yeah.
everybody has their own method,
Yeah,
okay? And I know what I'm gonna try to explain this.
yeah,
So the reason why I'm asking how are things are taught
Yeah.
is because the way that e-collar is taught dictates how the dog interprets it.
Yeah.
Okay? Most trainers use it as a punisher.
yeah,
Now she really didn't. I know what you're talking about, I know what you're getting at. But the fact that your number is 6 to 9 tells me that it's bullshit.
yeah,
Okay. And that model is meant for 35-pound dogs and under.
oh, really?
Yes. He'd be on a different collar with me.
Interesting.
So when we talk about aggression and escalation and all that stuff, and like even now when he's like huffing and puffing, like how
Yeah.
you're using the remote, like is not how I use it. Okay.
I'm willing
So
to
you're gonna
learn
have
if it
to,
works,
if
yeah.
we work together, you'll have to unlearn. You know, it happens all the time.
I'm fine with that, whatever works.
So I'm gonna try to explain this as
Yeah.
quick, not quickly, but like as thoroughly as possible, as clear cut as possible.
Yeah,
Okay. Is the first thing I would do is I would reteach the heel with this guy.
okay,
Okay. Now technically the way she taught you with the prong
Yeah.
is more along the lines of I would say correct.
okay,
Okay. But when it comes to eat, so I don't use prong or food
Okay.
for dogs over 6 months.
okay,
Puppies I use food,
yeah,
simple kindergarten stuff.
easy, yeah,
But once they hit 6 months, I go, dogs treat their puppies as adults at that age, so I can train them at that
Yeah.
same expectation.
of course,
And the reason why I jumped to e-collar and I skipped the other stuff is
Yeah.
one, I don't need the other stuff,
yeah,
okay? Because I'd rather have a blank slate than a dog that's already trained.
Yeah.
Because since they're already trained, they technically have an idea of what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It just wasn't taught correctly.
yeah,
So then I have to work harder
To
to make
undo.
things happen, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if the dog's a blank slate, I'm teaching everything from ground
Of course.
zero with the remote.
yeah,
So I'm not against the prong,
yeah,
but when I get a dog that has human aggression issues,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not gonna use a prong.
no.
The remote's
I'm-
gonna be the tool there,
Yeah.
right? But it's the best training tool, it gives consistent results, we have off-leash control, and I can override aggression.
Yep.
So I'm like, why would I use anything else?
Of course.
Okay? So, I know a lot of trainers push these lower level
Yeah,
power, you know, either through price because they're cheaper,
yeah,
so people are more likely to opt. Because the
Use
ones that I
them.
use, I mean, I'm not against, like that particular model, I
Yeah.
have, that's the 300, right?
yeah.
That's what my pity is trained on.
Yeah. mhm.
Now, my pity is 60 pounds, but
Yeah.
the difference with my pity is, I've trained her since she was 3 months,
Yeah.
and she's like very in tune with me,
Yeah,
that I don't need power to override her,
Yeah.
okay? But for most dog owners, they do a lot of things incorrectly that I need power to override what they've done.
yep,
So, one, we want appropriate output,
yep,
and I don't say things like off or whatever when
Yeah.
the dog's being aggressive,
okay,
because you're creating acute behavior, okay? So if he jumps on you,
yeah,
if you say off, technically he can jump on you until you say off,
got it,
okay?
Yep.
So for a human, you can teach a child, you don't take things that aren't yours, and they just apply that,
yeah,
okay? They know what that means, and they just don't do that.
yeah,
Dogs don't do
Can't
that.
do
So
it,
if you
yeah.
teach him off or don't jump on me, he doesn't learn it as this means don't jump on me, period.
yeah,
He just thinks momentarily, you
This
don't
is
want
not
me to
cool
jump on
enough.
him. Exactly. So when it comes to behaviors, I just correct them no warning.
okay,
Because then what you're trying to teach him is the behavior itself is what garners the correction. So in order for him to learn not to do the behavior, he's thinking, well, the last time I growled at someone, the remote happened,
yeah,
and there was no warning.
yeah,
You know, so it's like if I run a red light, I don't know which red lights have lights on them, right? So I'm gonna just assume they all do, and
Yeah.
just like stop at a red light. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There is no warning like, hey, stop at this red light because
Yeah.
there is a traffic light there.
yeah,
It's the same thing for dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is, if he keeps growling or
Mhm.
whatever, then it tells me that either the vibrate or the 6 to 9 level that you're using is not enough to stop it, and then teach him to not do it again.
yeah,
Right, so when I'm working with like my reactivity cases, I don't want the owner to have reactivity, period.
yeah,
That's my goal, right?
Yeah.
And so we find a number high enough that the dog respects, but isn't rolling all over the place, and low enough that they're not rolling all over the place, but high enough that they respect it and they don't repeat the behavior. So like, let's say the dog is blowing up and I've done all the foundation and I remote him at 45, and then it takes 2.5 weeks before I see the next reactive moment. That one correction of 45, exactly. So then I'm adjusting and I'm going, what's going to be the number that gets me a very, even longer period?
Response.
So until eventually it becomes less and less, and it's like once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
So I have a client right now. I'm going to do a highlight video on her because she's a really good case.
Yeah.
She just had her 8th class yesterday.
Yeah.
And she's been struggling with reactivity all up until her 7th class.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I gave her the answer by class 3.
Yeah.
Because her dog's working level was 80
Okay.
out of 127. Okay, I think yours is still 100, right?
127.
Yeah. Mine has an LED screen, so it goes up to 80 out of 127.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have that's a 300 280C.
This goes to 127. This is a 2800, I think.
Oh, 280C.
280C.
Never mind. That one looks like that was the newer version of the 300.
Okay.
So yeah, so you guys has the LED screen. So hers, she's on the same model that I recommend for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Her number was 80. Okay, because he's a very anxious dog. So we have to, dogs override, but not just emotional state, but then you have the physical resiliency of a dog because they bite each other.
Yep.
So we have those two components. So she was on 80 by class 3.
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, you have, she's like, I'm struggling with reactivity, I'm struggling with reactivity. I'm like, go higher, go higher.
Yeah.
And every class, I kept telling her, go higher, right? 80's not cutting it, go higher. That's why you're struggling, go higher. And I even gave her, like I said, 80 today, 85 tomorrow, 90 the next day.
Yeah.
And I said, and you stop when he stops.
Yeah.
Weeks go by. Come class 7, I go, how'd it go? She's like, much better. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened? She's like, I went higher. I go, where'd you go? She was 100. I'm like, good. See the difference? And she said, yeah. But she was still struggling. Fast forward a week later, or 2 weeks later, because I didn't see her for a week. She had to go to 114.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually talked about it. I did a video on it where she's like, he is so much calmer. He's not being reactive. I'm actually relaxed now and walking around and not worrying about he's going to lunge at you, he's going to lunge at this, he's going to lunge at that. At 114, okay? So for her, logically, she was getting locked up because she was thinking, I'm going to screw this dog up, something's going to happen. And I go, no, everybody has a breaking point. The fact that he was still being reactive at 80 and slightly reactive at 100 tells me we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So unless we cap at 127, which they discontinued it recently, there was a model more powerful than the one that she has.
Yeah.
And that's the one I actually told her to go on, but they discontinued it.
Got it.
So she got the one that she has. So I told her, there's always a breaking point, which is why I told you, get the higher powered one. So the difference would have been, instead of being at 114, you may have been at 80.
Yeah.
Because the other one has more output.
Yeah.
So you get more from less.
Yep.
So I go, no big deal. All I care about is that you stop behavior.
Yeah.
But it took that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And she actually did a 2-week boarding training with another trainer, and there was still issues.
Yeah.
So the way I approach it is, dogs don't ease each other into life.
Yeah.
Okay? If he does something to another dog that they disagree with, they bite him.
Yeah.
If someone does something to him, or maybe gets too close to you, whatever, and he goes, I'm gonna allow that,
Yeah.
he bites it. He's using physicality, right? So good.
Yeah.
But now we need to have the appropriate physicality so that we don't even see that again.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the tricky part here is because you're trying to get it to a point where it's, I don't have to worry about anything. Kind of.
Kind of. I just want to be able to have a dog walker.
Now, that's the hard part.
Yeah, sit down.
Okay? Now,
Sit.
I really think that it wasn't whatever. I think you did everything like you know works.
Yeah.
I think there just happened to be a variable.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's created distrust.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I would do here
Mm-hmm.
is, now we have to fix the trust factor,
Yeah.
is I muzzle condition if he's not muzzle conditioned.
It's not.
Okay? Because that's going to take a load off your mind.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you either, new dog walker, if old dog walker wants to try again, but now you have muzzle in play. And we revisit that.
Yeah.
Okay? A dog can always bite. So I hate when like that one trainer we said, give me a week and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, BS.
That's what I left.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
So the reason why I say that is I hear a lot of trainers talk about aggression as if it's, like let's say the fuel pump in your car went out. You
Yeah,
just taking it in exchange, you're good, right? Because that's a mechanical thing.
Mhm.
We're talking about a living, breathing creature that
Yeah.
has emotions and all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's like if you're struggling with anger and you go to a therapist and like, I'll make it so you'll never be angry again. That's how I look at behavior. They get scared, we get scared. They get anxious, we get anxious. They get nervous, we get nervous. They get aggressive, we can become aggressive. Right? It's the same responses, except people get aggressive like this and dogs get aggressive like this.
Mhm.
That's what makes
That's
it more of an extreme.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not so much about, yes, we want to correct aggression, teach them that's not an appropriate response, just like we teach kids, like, you know, punch a kid for calling me names or whatever. But at the same time, I'm going, there's nothing to say that he'll never become aggressive again.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I do is I go, we want to push things. So I would test to see if he's truly aggressive. I put my suit on and stuff and go like, all right, I'm going to just touch you. And let him do it. And then correct him for it. So he's like, crap, I tried to bite you, it didn't work, and I got corrected for it. That's one component. The next component is
He would totally try to bite you if you were in your suit, like 100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we correct it.
Yeah.
Is understanding how his brain works and how we build trust with people he doesn't know, so that we don't get aggression.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you trust that person, technically, unless they're breaking some kind of rule in his mind, we shouldn't see it.
Yeah.
So I have a case right now. She actually tried to attack me and my employees when she got off the muzzle. She got out of the leash and muzzle and went to attack us, and I had to kick her off.
Yeah.
I've only worked with them 2 times in person, 2 times via Zoom.
Yeah.
And after the 3rd time via Zoom, they had a neighbor come over and they're like, she was on her back, she was loving it, letting him rub her, because I wasn't targeting the aggression.
Yeah.
I was targeting the source of it, which was she was overstimulated, she was highly anxious.
Yeah.
And whenever people were coming over, no one was settling her reactivity down.
Yeah.
So her reactivity escalated into aggression
Yeah.
because she was already there.
Yeah.
But once we shut that crap down and she's calm, then there was nothing to fuel aggression.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
They're scared, they're anxious, they're nervous, they're territorial, they're being maternal. It's
Yeah.
where is it coming from, right? So like the family stuff, whatever stuff, that is a different approach. That's not so much about obedience, that's about how do you communicate with Taco that he doesn't need to be suspicious.
Yeah.
Okay? Now that may require, again, me, the suit, pushing thresholds, because no one's done that.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of times I get dogs from other trainers or that were evaluated by other trainers, and they'll say like, this dog's, you know, I got one right now that the lady told her, this dog will attack you, you need to give this dog up.
Yeah, they told me to put him down.
Yeah, I was told the same thing too.
Yeah.
And, you know, she came across me, you know, fast forward a couple of years later, and he had a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear and stuff, and we just changed a few things, and he's doing loads better.
Yeah.
And he's even opening up to people,
Yeah.
okay? Because we're talking their language. It's not
Yeah.
human psychology applied to their.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference. Is if that really is a problem, if it goes unaddressed, then his brain will always think it's an option, and we need to remove that option. Now, it doesn't mean that it's permanently not an option.
No, it's just.
It just means he's going to be much more likely to suppress it. But that's where me educating you comes into play, because it's a balance of both things.
100%. I realize I need to be trained.
Right, because you have to understand him really. I think you've got some good information, I think you've got some misinformation.
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I'd approach this case is put the dog walker on the back burner for now. Okay. Now, do you work really long days, I'm assuming? Like 12-hour days and stuff? Or
16,
16?
18.
So you need to have someone to take them out or whatever.
Mhm.
I got you. So muzzle is your best friend.
Yeah.
Okay, because it removes the risk for everything and anything, or at least greatly reduces it. I've been bitten through a muzzle before, you know. I've been bitten through a dog with a dog that had 2 muzzles on. So he had a mesh and a basket, and he still managed to get me.
Yeah.
So there's still risk there, but it's very much greatly reduced. So, and it helps you feel better. It helps to feel whoever's going to handle them, make them feel better.
Yeah.
Okay, because if they come in going, yeah, I know your history, they're going to think about his history, and it's going to make them act different.
Yeah.
Okay, so that muzzle plays a big part. And for me, I'm all about solutions.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is going to be, but like let's say for your new dog walker, he's muzzled for the first 3 months that she or he handles them. And then maybe the first month is kind of dicey, but then the second month is great, the 3rd month is even better, and they're like, you know what, we don't feel like he needs it anymore, then you remove it.
Yeah.
But then maybe life happens and you need a new dog walker, you go back to the muzzle again.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's just removing that option. Okay? Because in order to get past that bad experience, you have to keep going forward. So like I've been, like this is a dog bite, so I got 10, so this dog was on his first day for board and train. He was unneutered, 1-year-old Great Dane, never been in the kennel in his life, and I was just trying to put him in the kennel. and he turned up and nope, bit my hand, okay? I was like, take your dog back, I can't train him, I have a really bad fucked up hand.
Yeah.
But then they're like panicked because nobody would train the dog. And he wasn't aggressive, he was just a jackass.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not saying I can't train your dog. I'm saying I need to heal.
Yeah.
Before I can bring your, you know, because my employees at the time didn't have the technical skill or anything like that. Now they're like much better.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not saying I can't train your dog, I just need to heal.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a month, he came back, we trained him, no problem. He comes to daycare now.
Yeah.
Okay, we have no issues. I do this for a living, right? Whereas for like a dog walker or whatever, like it's usually a college kid that likes dogs and wants to make money, that they're not going to be as inclined to want to push through that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that muzzle will be your best friend. It might be a permanent thing that you use anytime you get a new dog walker. It's okay, in my book. The next thing would be we would change the collar. I put them on the 2300.
Yeah.
It's meant for 70-pound dogs and under.
Sure.
I know you said he's sensitive to 6 and 9 on that collar, but I have to reteach him, and we're going to probably notice some differences, okay? Because I apply it much differently than other trainers.
Yeah.
The first thing I would do is revisit the heel, my style, okay? Because that's what teaches them, in my opinion, appropriate e-collar communication. What you disagree with and what you allow, what you don't allow, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we'd start targeting the behavioral stuff, okay? Like the touch sensitivity and all that crap. The idea here is if he's got formal discipline and really respects, you know, what we're teaching him, is that his brain does not go to aggression. If it does, I go, okay, he wasn't what I thought he was going to be. Now we're going to correct him directly for the behavior, which is I have my suit or I have my sleeve.
Yeah.
Hey bud, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then he's like, screw you, bite, and we go correct, right? And then he's like, crap, and I go to touch him again. He bites, correct him again, touch him again. I keep repeating that process, right? And then if it's, you know, we're trying to progress into trust new people, like, you know, family, whatever, I give you exercises on how to handle that. How to actually, so what you're doing with the meeting people outside is you're working around the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would imagine if you're in your home, somebody rings the doorbell or knocks, he barks, whatever.
Yeah, he freaks out.
Yeah. Now, if somebody were to just enter, how do you think that would play out?
He would run right at them and
Okay.
try to do
Do you know why that would happen, or why that does happen?
He's territorial, right?
Correct. So what we need to do there is handle the territorial behavior. So what he's doing is technically not bad. He's saying somebody's here who's going to take care of it.
Yeah.
Now, as stupid as it sounds, when you open the door, he doesn't know that you're opening the door to invite the guest in.
Yeah.
It's just like the door's opening and there's a threat. Whether or not it's family, someone he's seen 100 times, it's this is our property.
Yeah.
You don't live here.
Yeah.
You're out of the norm, so I'm going to protect my mom and myself. Okay? So I have an exercise that I do, like I did with that dog I was just telling you about, the Australian Shepherd that tried to attack us here. And since we shut down the territorial behavior, it allowed curiosity to come out.
Yeah.
Because territorial behavior is suspicion. Okay, who are you? What are you doing in my property?
Super suspicious.
Yes.
That's him.
When you shut that down, then curiosity can come out, and curiosity is social behavior.
Yeah.
Who are you? Okay. Now it doesn't mean he's going to be right off the bat like, hey, we're best buddies. It could happen.
Yeah.
But typically, it might just be like, okay, and then he minds his business.
Yeah.
Okay. In the beginning, all I need is coexistence.
Yeah.
Don't go after guests, and just mind your business.
Yeah.
But you might find, especially with people he's already met before, he's just never fully opened up to them, it's gonna be a quicker turnaround.
Yeah.
Because he's already seen them 100 times. He's just always been suspicious when he's seen them.
Yeah.
So when we see curiosity becomes social behavior, and he goes, oh, I've seen you a lot of times.
Yeah.
Then he just opens up. Okay. Now in the beginning, I always tell people err on the side of caution. We still ignore the dog because people tend to think like, oh, he's wagging his tail and like coming to me.
No.
And then you just touch him, and all of a sudden it's like
he freaks out.
back off,
Yep.
right?
He loves that move. The ears back. He's crying. It looks like he's fluffy. They really want to touch him, and then I'm like, please don't, because then they'll reach out and then he snaps at them.
Yeah. So that's a bully behavior.
Yeah, I hate that.
So we would want to correct that as well. Okay. Again, muzzle.
Yeah.
Because muzzle allows you to press boundaries.
Yeah.
To correct it. So he's like, crap, I can't get away with this
Yeah.
bullshit anymore. And then we see what happens. Okay. So. What is your complete, like, what are like your end goal here with Taco?
God, I mean, I think I've been working around the problem so much that I'm going one goal at a time. So I think in the ideal world, Taco's sick, but sit. Again, I keep going back to the dog walker thing because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to be good enough to introduce him to like people again. And then he does, like, he used to be perfect around other dogs when he was leashed, like on leash or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now he seems to lunge more. I'd love to get rid of that behavior again.
Reactivity?
Yeah, the
yes,
reactivity.
That's part of the heal.
Yeah, but, you know, realistically, he's never going to be a daycare dog. I don't think so. I mean, I would love that, but he's my left.
Is that where you work?
Oh, I work at UIC now.
So you're over here, staff.
No, it's right by county. It's on like, is it south? I don't know. It's
South of
yeah,
here.
exactly.
What's
yeah.
the intersection?
So it's on like Wood Street and Taylor.
Yeah, you're like east of Ashland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a couple of things here.
Yeah.
The dog walker thing you could do like fairly quickly,
Yeah.
but it requires the muzzle.
Yeah.
So the muzzle that we use here are basket style.
Yeah.
You can eat, drink, open his mouth, pant, all that stuff. And it can be worn for extended periods of time.
Okay.
So like you could muzzle him and leave, and then the dog walker comes and able to take him out and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's one option.
Yeah.
The other option is, are you coming, where's Clarendon
Hills. It's western suburbs. I live in both places, it can be either one.
Okay.
No problem.
Is if you decide to work with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we handle dogs that come all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, now whether or not he plays with dogs, we don't care about.
Yeah.
But what we would be able to do is like he'd just be here. So we go on pack walks.
Yeah.
We take care of him, so we potty and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we reinforce any training the dog knows.
Mhm.
So like we have dogs that weren't trained by us but are trained on e-collar.
Yeah.
We just use the e-collar our way.
Yeah.
You know, we don't adapt it to whatever they did. We just think their way's wrong and our way's right.
Yeah.
We reinforce all
Listen,
the
whatever
training.
gets results.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that'd be another thing until you can get a dog walker, or if you're like, hey, he's doing really well here, it's like keep, like I don't care.
Yeah.
But that would also be a potential
Yeah.
answer for you. Okay. Go ahead and just shorten your leash a little bit here. I forgot I turned off the AC. Tip. There we go.
Sit down.
What's your number?
Right now it's at 16. I just ramped
Go to 32.
Okay.
And tap. Tap. Yep. Tap. Tap.
But he does when he's confused.
Tap. It's okay. Now what I'm gonna have you do here
Yeah.
is add a little tension towards you. There we go. That's fine. Right there. And then just relax. Okay. So what I did there was we bumped it
Yeah.
because when I moved, that was a nervous response.
Yeah.
Because he was fine with me being stationary, but when
Yeah.
I moved, he triggered.
Yeah.
That's nervous dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
If my back's against a wall, he gets nervous. So it's very positional.
Sure.
He like completely.
Sure. We gotta get him. Let's get him over that.
Okay.
So if
Like you can't walk behind me. He'll freak out. That's why he was not happy when he was walking forward.
Mhm.
If there's a man behind me, he freaks out. It's better with women, but he can't have a man behind me.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So technically we want to address that.
Yeah.
Now, it's good security, but it's liability
Yeah.
when you can't
100%.
control it, right? So what we did was we raised the number
Mhm.
so I don't feel like he moved. He started going like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Then he yipped a little bit
Yeah.
because we kept the pressure on him,
Yeah.
and he turned around and gave me his back.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Was like because he kept looking, not staring.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like he would kind of like puff a bit, but now you've essentially said like don't worry about him.
Yeah.
Like do something else. And I don't care what you do, just do something else.
Yeah.
Okay. And we got that through more power.
Mhm.
But yeah, we get dogs that come here with issues and stuff. What we will do is have you bring him muzzled,
Yeah.
and then he'd most likely be muzzled until we get him to the point where we feel comfortable with him.
Yeah.
So we have a dog who's a Dutch Shepherd who's a very nervous dog, and then he was coming muzzled and stuff. With me, he's great. He's like warmed up to me. He's like we're like buddies or whatever. With my employees, he's not had a problem. I have him always err on the side of caution because they're still like I've been doing this 10 years.
Yeah.
That my ability to read a dog is very good, whereas they're still learning, right? So, but that would be a potential option for you, at least in the meantime, when you're trying to get to that point.
Yeah.
I don't care either way. I'm just here to help you.
Yeah.
In terms of length of time, At bare minimum, it would be six classes.
Yeah.
The way I teach is I focus on what you're wanting and needing and what I think you need,
Yeah.
okay? I think you have a great foundation to jump from. We just need to tweak a few things,
Yeah.
okay? The main thing that I care to tweak is the leash walking,
Yeah.
because that's what's gonna fix your reactivity.
Okay.
Even stuff like this
Mhm.
can be indirectly addressed through the
Leash.
my style of leash walking.
Mhm.
By class 3, we're seeing what has it fixed, and you might say, man, Jesse hasn't lunged at anybody, has lunged at people walking behind me. All this has gotten better. And I go, great, it did its job.
Yeah.
Now we're going to press things.
Yeah.
So that's where I start maybe making contact with them, touching them, and things like that, correcting that, those outbursts and any aggression that we may see,
Yeah.
and get them over that. Maybe we get them to a good place, you're like, oh wow, like he's actually accepting you, and because we shut down the aggression, starting to warm up to you,
Mhm.
that muzzle comes into play, and I
Yeah.
show you how to socialize them with people. Then we cover the exercise of having people come over, things like that, so you can start just having a
I
normal
get
life.
anxious when you talk about it.
Yeah, having a normal life,
Yeah.
okay? That would be how I approach that part.
Yeah.
If you're wanting more, so there's physical control and there's mental control.
Yeah.
Obedience is physical control.
Yeah.
And that's important, but also mental control, knowing how to de-escalate them if becoming territorial or whatever,
Yeah.
and how to properly introduce them to build trust, either with dogs or people. Like there's a way that I go about it.
Yeah.
And I always tell people time. Everything's time.
Of course.
Okay, some dogs do make quick 180s.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's classes before we get that point.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's going to be that here. I
Yeah.
think you have a really good foundation. I just need to tweak a couple things.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to progress fairly quickly. But it also requires that you have to push out the comfort zone. So once we get to the point of like the muzzle and all that stuff, and like have people come over now, this is what you're going to do. This is the exercise.
Yeah.
Don't worry about socialization. Don't worry about petting. Just worry about coexistence.
Yeah.
Because I don't need them to like people.
Yeah.
I just need them not to be a jerk.
100%.
Right.
I don't even care if he barks at people or doesn't want to spend time with them. You just can't bite them. I don't want them.
Well, you don't want that, because the barking is the precursor.
Yeah.
Because the barking is, like right now, it was you walk too close.
Yeah.
And if you walk closer, I'm going to bite you.
Yeah.
So you don't even want the barking, because the barking is still categorized as that fight response.
See, that's where I think everything failed for me, because they told me never to, when I was training him
When you
initially,
remove
like
the
if he's
warning.
growling, yeah, you're removing the growl or the warning, and then you won't know when it's gonna happen.
Correct.
And then I got scared,
So the way that works is,
It's actually ramping himself up.
yes,
Yeah.
if he can go to 1, then why can't he go to 10?
Yeah,
Okay? Now, so that's where educating you comes into play.
totally.
Right? So like I have dogs where, people, they will run up to people, they will make friends with people, blah, blah, blah. But someone off the street just can't come in and touch them.
Yeah.
Right? So I told the owner, like, this is your dog and this is how we work with these things and this is what life will throw at you, because I've heard stories and stories throughout my career and I've learned from them.
Yeah.
I've learned what people should expect, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So that kind of goes, so we have dog training, which is training Taco.
yeah,
Then we have dog
Human
handler training, which is training you.
yeah,
They go hand in hand,
Totally.
okay? So at minimum, I would do 6, 2 on the heel, see what it fixes, and then the rest target the behavior stuff,
Mhm.
okay? If you're wanting more physical control, like let's say for whatever reason, like he just is not warming up to people coming into the home. Like I believe you have it down because I saw you point and he lay down.
yeah,
Is if you tell a dog to down, they shouldn't move for 2-3 hours, like that level of control.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you have some control but you need more control, that's when more time comes into play.
Mhm.
So then I have a 9 and 12-week program, which is geared towards that, right? So what I do is I go, this is bare bones. What I know you'll need, 6 classes,
Yeah.
and I give you all that stuff. And then there's, well, I would like to have more. Then that's 9, 12 classes. Okay. I don't care what you pick. I'm just saying if you're just concerned about the behavior, that's what I would go with. And if you'd rather have more control than less, then you have other options. Okay.
Do you think he's the kind of dog that could be like socialized to other dogs again?
Was he social? You said he was social before?
Yeah.
So typically when a dog is social
Yeah.
and something happens or whatever,
Yeah.
they're more likely to go back to sociability because it was them.
There before.
Yeah. When it's not there and they hate the dogs from the get-go, I tell them don't even worry about it because they never like dogs anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. But I have at least 5 or 6 cases right now
Yeah.
of dogs that were not dog friendly
Yeah.
and we've been socializing them, like I've been teaching the owners. You can go on my YouTube channel
Yeah.
and just look up socialization and you'll see the videos.
Yeah.
And I have a very specific way that I go about it that helps build a relationship between dogs.
Yeah.
So it's much more realistic for him to like either go someplace where there's consistent dogs, like a daycare, or like let's say your friend has a dog,
Yeah.
because you see them again and again.
Totally.
That's more realistic than like a dog park.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I have. Like, I have friends with dogs. My parents have dogs, and I would love for him. I mean, at least to coexist fine. He does okay with the pugs because they're fat and they don't care. They're just kind of blobs. But my friend has a dog who's very friendly, gets along with all the other dogs. But I won't even have him that close because he doesn't even growl. It's like the gates of hell are opening through his chest. It's a horrible sound.
Right. No, I heard the.
Yeah,
the
that was
rumble.
nothing. It really
Oh,
sounds
sure.
worse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's a possibility,
Yeah.
but you know, my whole thing is coexistence. I'm always all for shooting for more.
Yeah.
And what we've started doing is for our clients that want to socialize their dogs, I made a Facebook group
Yeah.
that's private for only my clients.
Yeah.
And they've been setting like dog dates for themselves
Got it.
because they're on the same page,
Of course.
you know? So
They're
that would be
used to
something.
misbehaving dogs.
Yeah. So that'd be something that, you know, I could, once you get to that point, I would say, you know, you're welcome to join. And then you can just like, hey, like to socialize taco.
Yeah.
You post it up and then someone's like, oh, like I'll socialize with you, you know?
Mhm.
So it's a small group now. It's only like 14, 15 people.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've been using it in the past couple of months. So I wish I would have done that years ago. It would have been such a big resource for a lot of people.
Totally.
But yeah, there's social and then there's coexistence.
Yeah.
Social is like I interact with you, you interact with me. Coexistence is like, hey, I'm here. I'm not a fan of being here, but I won't be a dick to anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions.
If I were to do the thing where I drop him off here, he's separate from the other dogs with the muzzle?
So he'd have a muzzle, right?
Yeah.
We do a slow process, so
Yeah.
we do an evaluation period. The first day, he doesn't meet anybody,
Yeah.
dog-wise. He's out with the dogs, he
Yeah.
just doesn't meet them.
Yeah.
He's kenneled, and then he'll be walked around, taken out the potty,
Yeah.
you know, possibly do duration work, like go on bed and not move for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And just getting used to coexisting.
Yeah.
Day 2 is we start to bring dogs around him and him around dogs. And then day 3, we see if he has any interest in being socialized, like having a dog sniff him, having him sniff a dog, and then we may integrate him into a pen. And then if he opens up and starts to play, then we go, okay, he's capable of being sociable. And then after that, we go thumbs up. And it's like, let's say he doesn't want to socialize. All that means is when he's here, like we go, well, he doesn't want to play, but he would still go first walks, weather pending, he doesn't want the pack walk, he'd go on the pack walks.
Yeah.
He would do duration work. So he's just not playing with the dogs because it's not there,
Yeah.
but he's still doing stuff.
And that's daycare, not like a train-in board.
Correct.
Okay.
So we do daycare and train.
Mhm.
In your case, you want to do this yourself because we already know what we're doing here.
Mhm.
You need to learn what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. If it was just obedience stuff, I said sure, daycare and train because it's just mechanical, you know,
Yeah.
physical responses. Sit, put your butt down, lay down, all that stuff. This is more behavior.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sometimes we don't even see stuff here.
Mhm.
You know, like we have a case that's reactive and separation anxiety. We don't see that here
Yeah.
because it's boot camp.
Yeah.
You know, it's with the owner. So the owner's doing the training, but we just supplement or kind of aid in the training because we're giving the dog the same structure as they're getting at home. So it
Yeah.
just creates a more cohesive picture for them.
Mhm.
Okay. And then after that, like we had a dog who was very, very reactive. And it took him a month and a half before he started playing with dogs,
Mhm.
you know, of us exposing him. He'd just be super awkward. He would just sit there, you know. And then, you know, he was great on the pack walks. He was, you know,
Yeah.
doing duration work. He was getting his exercise, going potty and stuff, because she's also in the medical field. She's an ER doctor.
Yeah.
So then, it took us, you know, a month and a half before he finally opened up and started playing.
Yeah.
We don't rush dogs. We have another dog that's the same,
Mhm.
and the owner, I think, kind of feels bad that we're not socializing the dog, but it's not that because we don't want to. We do it,
Yeah.
but the dog just isn't ready,
Yeah.
you know. And even though they played at another daycare, both dogs at another daycare were fine,
Yeah.
but here they're not. And I told them because we're like police,
Yeah.
you know, since we're putting structure to things, the dog is more cautious, so it takes longer for him to open up.
Yeah.
So for the human aspect, the emotional aspect, they feel bad,
Yeah.
but from our aspect, we're going, that's healthy.
Mhm.
Because we're less likely to see something happen
Yeah.
because we're so structured.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he'd be welcome to come here.
Okay.
Our hours Monday through Friday are 7 to 7.
Okay.
And then, I mean, you're out in the suburb because we do pick up and drop off, but that's just.
Yeah, it just gets tricky because, like, for example, I'll be on call or something like that. My hours are better now. I bet there'd be some days where I could, like, structure it and, like, drop him off from 7 to 7.
Mhm.
But that I don't think I can do that consistently. Then I have a little bit of a buffer with the dog walker situation because my little brother, the one I was talking about, he's in college and he actually decided to do this semester at home because of the COVID.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So and because he loves him and he's wonderful. In a pinch, he'll go and talk with more.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like a last minute thing.
So it's really nice from that standpoint.
Mhm.
But yeah, that would just be a little trickier to do with the out. Because to be honest, I don't know when I walk in. Like, for example, yesterday I was operating from 7 a.m. to, 12:30 in the morning this morning. So, like, it's just like, I have no...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I have no control over...
What is that, like 28, 30 hours?
It was crazy. Yeah, it was insane.
Jesus.
So, like, that
I thought I had one.
Yeah, well, that I have no control over, but hopefully... I mean, I'm sure that I could plan ahead on days that maybe I'm not so busy, and I could even drop them off here when I'm on my day off or something like that, so that
Sure.
we could get that exposure.
I mean, and if they do, I'm not like at 80 dogs
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah,
That if it's like, hey, I thought I was gonna be a regular day, but I'm doing a random overnight,
yeah,
is I would just say we keep a bag of food for them here, so this way if that is
Yeah.
happening,
yeah.
we just feed them, and it's just like a random boarding night or whatever,
Yeah.
if you want it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that might actually, if you guys could do it, obviously I wouldn't do it all the time, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, we
days,
don't
but-
care, like, because that happens, we had another client, they had 2 puppies that they adopted
Yeah,
at 2 months,
yeah,
and kind of threw themselves into that, right?
yeah,
And
Don't-
there were
I know
times
that.
where they're like, hey, we're real sorry, it's last minute, because
Yeah.
they're in the health field.
yeah,
They're like, but we can't get the dogs. I'm like, no worry, we have the food here.
yeah,
That's the main thing, we have plenty of space,
yeah,
and, because I just opened up here in September,
yeah,
not planning for a pandemic to happen.
yeah,
So we, COVID essentially reset us back to ground zero,
yeah,
and we're rebuilding again.
yeah,
So it is what it is.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
As long as we're allowed to do what we need to do, which is correct them for being a jerk,
yes,
have the remote,
yep,
have a muzzle on them, and
Mhm.
all that stuff. If it's like, hey, sorry, people just Instagram message us like, he's gonna need it overnight, no problem,
yeah.
no biggie.
Okay,
We
I
have
mean,
plenty of
honestly,
space.
if you guys have that kind of flexibility, you can correct this dog however it is that you guys need to. I've read the testimonials and stuff, I've heard great things about you guys, so, and I need help very badly.
Yeah, and it doesn't end up counting as a daycare day.
Yeah.
What we do is, if that happens, I understand. Oh, and also you guys get half off
Oh, thank you.
for the pandemic, so that's another kind of plus.
Yeah.
So you get half off our standard daycare and boarding
Yeah.
nights. Anything like boarding trains or training is standard, is regular price.
Yeah,
But definitely that's not a problem. So if it was let's say you have to board them,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't count it as a daycare day.
Yeah.
It would be counted as a boarding day.
okay,
So you would retain that.
awesome.
I'm pretty chill,
Yeah,
I understand, especially with, things
Yeah.
going on now. Just doing what we can to help.
yeah. And
Okay.
then, do you have a certain way that you like to muzzle condition dogs?
I'll send you videos.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we'll give you the information, and we have a brand that we recommend and
Good.
everything.
Okay,
You would start that process. All we ask is when you bring them, is that you have them fitted with it already and stuff.
yeah, mhm.
And then if anything pops up here, we have a bite suit and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's if things go south, you put the suit on and take care of it.
Yeah,
So
okay,
nothing out the ordinary for
okay,
us.
cool.
Anything else?
Last thing, so for example, Nat, when he's getting nervous looking at you and I can tell he's gonna growl, do I preempt this or do I wait for that?
I preemptively address it. So
Okay.
you're addressing the thought,
Yeah,
right? So if he's looking at me through the side of the eye, right?
Yeah.
That's the point one.
yeah.
Cut it out.
He's doing ears back and he's already getting still, he's gonna growl at you.
I can a little bit see him he's glancing towards at
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
He's from what I can see in a passive state because his
Yeah.
eyes are starting to half close here.
Yeah,
So this I wouldn't from my perspective.
got it.
But for the owner, I usually tell them if your gut tells you or if you're thinking should I do this, it's
Yeah.
probably something you should correct.
Okay,
And then if it was a misclick or whatever,
Yeah.
then I just say it's one for good luck.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, I like that one.
There's no such thing as over tapping
Yeah,
in
okay,
my book.
alright,
The more black and white you are, the better he is.
yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Otherwise, Maria will get in contact with you. She'll
Yeah.
reiterate everything that I said.
sure,
If you're interested in using our facility services, she'll send you a form to register him.
great,
She'll send you the muzzle info and all that stuff.
yeah,
Do what you can. And then if you want to kind of get a clear idea of how this should progress,
yeah,
is I suggest if you go to my YouTube channel and you look up, there's a playlist called Dog Training Highlights,
yeah,
or I might rename it Client Highlights,
okay.
there's one, the dog's name is Lake.
Lake,
It's a pit bull.
okay,
It's like a 15, 20-minute video.
Sure.
It gives you a very oh my God, this dog was crazy
Yeah.
and was labeled aggressive. and then I come in, and in one class, the dog went 80s, okay?
Okay.
Now, I think in this particular case, not with the dog walker bite,
Yeah,
but in other stuff, I think there's more behavior here.
yeah,
But it gives you an idea of the theory, how it works, why it works, and that it works.
yep,
Okay?
okay.
Anything else?
Wean them off the Prozac in the meantime if it's not doing anything.
Did you do continuous?
No, I pressed an A.
Okay. You can go down to 22?
Sorry, bud.
No apologies.
Ay.
Okay. Give tap. Tap. Right there. Okay. So you see tap. No talking? Tap. There. Okay. So here, no petting. So
The
here.
yelp, it was the yelp that
I
got
know,
me.
you gotta let that go though.
Okay,
So that yelp doesn't always mean discomfort.
Yeah.
It can mean surprise.
okay.
Okay.
I hate the yelp, okay,
But also, when you pet him or console him,
yeah,
you negate the correction, okay? Because he's not supposed to be growling,
yeah.
right? And don't worry about the down stuff either,
all right.
okay? You're gonna have to unlearn a lot of stuff.
I know,
with me,
I
okay?
know, okay.
Because it breaks him from the situation. So
Got
when
it.
you tap him here and you went into a sitting position,
Yeah,
this is not a sit. This is a relaxed state,
okay.
okay? And you see how he's got his back. Now he's attentive to you because he's going, holy crap, what was that? Are you crying over there?
Yeah, well, I hate it when he yelps. I know, I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
We
but
got a really long go at it, him and me.
It's okay. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
But for him, it reinforces what he thinks he's supposed to do, which is
Yeah.
to be guardy over you.
got it, okay.
Now, ideally, I don't want that, which is why we went from 38 to 22.
Yeah, yes,
Okay, but within the moment it happened,
yeah,
but he was growling.
yes, yes, yes.
You know, like, so for me growing up, if I did something, like, let's say, I remember the first time, or the only time I would talk back to my mom,
Yes,
I just got slapped.
Yeah,
it was
Yeah.
just slap, right?
yeah,
And my mom didn't care about my response afterwards. She was
Yeah.
like, you don't talk back to me, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
Okay? Is you're not being mean, you're not being abusive, you're being direct,
yeah,
and this is how we get over these things. And if it happens to be too much power, we
Yeah.
simply adjust it and go back down.
yeah. I'll be better. I hate the yelp. The yelp
okay.
always gets me.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
You're fine. Okay. It's been a long day for me.
Yeah, you've been here all day.